On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
She captivated the world with her beauty, redefined freedom on film, and later fought for the voiceless. A life lived boldly until the very end. Brigitte Anne-Marie Bardot was born on September 28, 1934, in Paris, France. As a teenager, she trained in ballet and danced with disciplined grace, a quiet start before the storm of fame. Her rise to global prominence began in the 1950s. At just 15, she appeared on the cover of Elle magazine, launching her into modeling and catching the eye of filmmakers. In 1956, an explosive moment arrived with And God Created Woman, directed by her then-husband, Roger Vadim. The film made her an international sex symbol and one of France's most recognizable faces, embodying a new spirit of liberated femininity. She followed this breakthrough with acclaimed roles in movies like Contempt and La Vérité, working with major directors and proving she was more than just an image. Away from the screen, Bardot was fiercely determined and unpredictable. Beneath her glamorous exterior was a passionate advocate for causes she believed in. In 1986, she founded the Brigitte Bardot Foundation for Animal Welfare, giving up acting in 1973 to dedicate herself fully to protecting animals around the world. Her outspoken nature extended into politics, often courting controversy with fiery opinions that drew both supporters and critics. Brigitte Bardot died on December 28, 2025. She was 91 years old. She passed away at her home in Saint-Tropez in southern France, her foundation confirmed, though no specific cause of death was immediately disclosed. The announcement brought an outpouring of reflection across the globe. Fans, filmmakers, and admirers remembered her not only for her unforgettable screen presence, but for her indefinable impact on culture. French President Emmanuel Macron called her a legend of the century, celebrating her artistic brilliance and her passionate defense of animal welfare. Tributes also acknowledge the complexity of her legacy, part cinematic icon, part outspoken public figure whose later years provoked heated debate. Today, Brigitte Bardot's influence remains deeply embedded in cinema and pop culture. Her image helped redefine sexuality on screen, and her work behind the camera inspired generations of actresses and artists. The Brigitte Bardot Foundation continues its mission, a testament to her enduring commitment to compassion. Brigitte Bardot lived unapologetically, and in her passing, she leaves behind a world forever altered by her presence and unwavering voice. She danced into Hollywood's golden age, laughed through heartbreak, and kept performing long after the spotlight dimmed for others. Debbie Reynolds was born Mary Frances Reynolds on April 1, 1932, in El Paso, Texas. During a beauty contest at just 16, she caught the attention of Warner Brothers, despite having no formal dance training at all. Her rise to fame was swift and unforgettable. In 1952, she became an instant star as Kathy Selden in Singin' in the Rain, holding her own beside Gene Kelly in one of cinema's most beloved musicals. The role made her America's sweetheart. She followed it with hits like Tammy and the Bachelor, whose title song topped the charts, and the unsinkable Molly Brown, earning her an Academy Award nomination. On stage and television, she proved just as magnetic, building a career that spanned more than 6 decades. Behind the smiles was a woman who endured deep personal trials. Her highly publicized marriage to Eddie Fisher collapsed when he left her for Elizabeth Taylor, a heartbreak that played out under relentless media attention. Yet, Reynolds refused to be defined by scandal. She became a savvy businesswoman, famously working to preserve Hollywood history by collecting and saving classic film costumes and memorabilia when studios discarded them. Debbie Reynolds died on December 28, 2016. She was 84 years old. She passed away at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles after suffering a stroke, just one day after the sudden death of her daughter, Carrie Fisher. Many close to her said her heart simply could not bear the loss. The world reacted with shock and sorrow. Tributes poured in from across generations of performers who grew up watching her films. Fans spoke of a rare kind of joy she brought to the screen, while fellow actors remembered her kindness, resilience, and unstoppable energy. The timing of her death, so close to her daughters, felt almost unbearably poetic. Today, Debbie Reynolds remains a symbol of classic Hollywood warmth and endurance. Her performances continue to comfort new audiences, and her dedication to preserving film history ensured that Hollywood's past would not be forgotten. Through her daughter's legacy and her own timeless work, her influence lives on. Debbie Reynolds spent her life making the world smile, and even in goodbye, she reminded us how deeply love and loss are intertwined. She lived between elegance and tragedy, briefly touching global fame before her story quietly faded into one of Hollywood's saddest footnotes. Cassandra Harris was born Sandra Colleen Waits on December 15, 1948, in Sydney, Australia. As a teenager, she trained in classical ballet, dreaming first of the stage before the camera ever found her. Her rise to recognition came steadily rather than suddenly. In the early 1970s, she became a familiar face on Australian television, most notably in the popular soap opera Number 96. International audiences later noticed her through roles in action and adventure projects like Rough Cut, alongside Burt Reynolds, and the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only, where she appeared briefly as Countess Lisl von Schlaff. Though her screen time was short, her presence lingered, and her connection to the Bond world would later feel hauntingly symbolic. Away from the spotlight, Cassandra's personal life was filled with devotion and resilience. She married actor Pierce Brosnan in 1980 and became a loving stepmother to his 2 children, later welcoming a son of their own. Those close to her described her as deeply private, preferring family life over Hollywood attention. Few knew she had been quietly battling ovarian cancer for years, choosing dignity and normalcy over public sympathy. Cassandra Harris died on December 28, 1991. She was just 43 years old. She passed away at her home in Los Angeles after a long fight with ovarian cancer, surrounded by her family. Her death came only days after Christmas, casting a shadow over what should have been a season of celebration. The immediate reaction was subdued but heartfelt. Friends and colleagues spoke of her grace and courage, while Pierce Brosnan withdrew from public life, devastated by the loss. Her death brought renewed attention to ovarian cancer, highlighting how silently and aggressively the disease can progress. For many, her passing was a reminder of how fragile life remains behind glamorous facades. Today, Cassandra Harris is remembered not for the number of roles she played, but for the quiet impact she left behind. Her story lives on through the family she loved and the awareness her death helped raise. In the Bond universe and beyond, she remains a poignant symbol of beauty touched by sorrow. Some lives shine briefly, not to fade, but to remind us how precious every moment truly is. He was louder than the crowd, bigger than the game, and forever changed how millions understood football, one booming sentence at a time. John Earl Madden was born on April 10, 1936 in Austin, Minnesota, and grew up in Daly City, California. As a young man, he dreamed of playing professional football, but an early knee injury quietly redirected his destiny. That turn changed sports history. Madden rose to fame as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, leading them from 1969 to 1978 with fierce intensity and unmatched preparation. In 1977, he coached the Raiders to a Super Bowl XI victory, cementing his reputation as one of the greatest coaches of his era. After retiring early, he reinvented himself again, becoming the voice of the NFL. His enthusiastic, plain-spoken commentary made complex plays feel simple and exciting. Then came Madden NFL. The video game series turned his name into a permanent part of pop culture, introducing generations to football before they ever watched a real game. Away from the spotlight, Madden was deeply human. He was famously afraid of flying and traveled across the country by bus or train instead. Those long journeys became part of his legend. He loved food, storytelling, and quiet moments with family, preferring comfort over celebrity. To friends, he wasn't a brand. He was a loyal, warm presence with a contagious laugh. John Madden died on December 28, 2021. He was 85 years old. He passed away peacefully at his home in Pleasanton, California, from natural causes. There was no spectacle, just a life reaching its final whistle. The reaction was immediate and emotional. Tributes poured in from players, coaches, broadcasters, and fans across generations. Stadiums observed moments of silence. NFL broadcasts replayed his most unforgettable calls. For many, it felt like losing the voice that had guided them through Sunday afternoons for decades. Today, John Madden's legacy lives everywhere. In coaching philosophies, in broadcasting booths, in living rooms where families still play Madden NFL. He didn't just explain football, he made people love it. He reminded us that the game was supposed to be fun, loud, and full of heart. When the noise fades and the crowd goes quiet, John Madden's voice still echoes, reminding us that passion, joy, and authenticity never go out of bounds. She made audiences laugh for decades, yet behind the sharp wit and warm smile was a life shaped by resilience, mystery, and enduring charm. Rose Marie was born on April 15, 1923, in New York City. She stepped onto the stage before she could even read, billed as Baby Rose Marie, astonishing vaudeville crowds with fearless confidence. Her rise to fame was steady and remarkable. As a child star, she toured relentlessly, performing for packed theaters during the golden age of vaudeville. Decades later, she reinvented herself for television, earning lasting fame as Sally Rogers on The Dick Van Dyke Show. Her quick timing and effortless chemistry made her a standout in one of television's most beloved sitcoms. Later, she became a familiar face to millions as a regular panelist on Hollywood Squares, where her sharp one-liners and playful intelligence turned her into a household favorite once again. Off-camera, Rose Marie lived a life that surprised many. Despite playing romantic roles, she never married. For years, she hinted at a secret engagement from her past, only confirming late in life that she had once been engaged to mob figure Bugsy Siegel. She valued independence, privacy, and lifelong friendships, especially her close bond with co-star Maury Amsterdam. Rose Marie died on December 28, 2017. She was 94 years old. She passed away peacefully at her home in Van Nuys, Los Angeles. No specific cause was announced, and her death was attributed to natural causes after a long, full life in entertainment. The reaction was filled with affection and gratitude. Fellow performers, classic television fans, and comedy legends shared tributes celebrating her trailblazing career. Clips from The Dick Van Dyke Show resurfaced everywhere, reminding audiences of her timeless humor. Many spoke of her generosity, professionalism, and the doors she opened for women in comedy. Today, Rose Marie is remembered as a rare performer who succeeded in every era she touched. From vaudeville stages to black and white television, she adapted without losing herself. Her humor still feels modern. Her presence still feels alive. She proved that wit can outlast time and that a well-delivered laugh can echo long after the curtain falls. Behind a simple mask and a silver bullet, he became justice itself, riding into American living rooms and never truly riding away. Clayton Moore was born on August 14, 1914, in Chicago, Illinois. Before fame found him, he worked as a circus acrobat and stuntman, learning physical discipline that would later define his screen presence. His rise to fame came with a single role that changed television history. In 1949, Moore became the face of the Lone Ranger, a character built on honor, restraint, and moral clarity. Week after week, he embodied the quiet hero who spoke little but stood for everything. The show became a cultural phenomenon, and Moore's calm voice and upright posture made him instantly recognizable to millions of children and families. He reprised the role in feature films and public appearances, forever linked to the masked lawman who fought for justice without glory. Away from the spotlight, Moore was far more complex than his stoic character. He was deeply proud of the role, even when it limited other opportunities. During legal disputes over the character's image, he continued visiting hospitals and charity events wearing green-tinted sunglasses instead of the mask, just so he wouldn't disappoint fans. To him, being the Lone Ranger was a responsibility, not just a job. Clayton Moore died on December 28, 1999. He was 85 years old. He passed away at a hospital in Calabasas, California, following a heart attack. His death marked the quiet end of a man whose presence had once filled living rooms across America. The reaction was filled with nostalgia and respect. Tributes poured in from actors, historians, and fans who had grown up watching him. Newspapers remembered not just the role, but the dignity with which Moore carried it for decades. For many, his passing felt like losing a piece of television's moral compass. Today, Clayton Moore is remembered as more than an actor. He is remembered as a symbol. In an era before anti-heroes, he represented fairness, courage, and restraint. The Lone Ranger lives on in reruns and memories, but Moore's legacy lives in the values he chose to protect. Some heroes remove the mask when the story ends. Clayton Moore never really did. His voice was unmistakable, his presence commanding, and his characters unforgettable, even when the curtain finally fell on a life of performance. Jerry Orbach was born on October 20, 1935, in the Bronx, New York City. As a child, he traveled often because of his father's work, which exposed him early to music, theater, and the rhythm of storytelling. His rise to fame came first on the stage. In the 1960s, Orbach became a Broadway star, earning a Tony Award for Promises, and another nomination for 42nd Street. He was equally at home, singing, dancing, and commanding the spotlight, but television brought him into millions of homes. In 1990, he took on the role of Detective Lennie Briscoe on Law and Order. With dry wit, weary eyes, and sharp one-liners, he transformed the character into a cultural icon. At the same time, he reached a new generation as the voice of Lumiere in Disney's Beauty and the Beast, adding warmth and charm to an animated classic. Behind the scenes, Orbach was known as a devoted family man. He remained married to his wife Elaine for over 4 decades, a rarity in show business. Few knew he was also a passionate supporter of Broadway preservation and often mentored younger actors quietly, without seeking credit. Jerry Orbach died on December 28, 2004. He was 69 years old. He passed away at a hospital in New York City after a long battle with prostate cancer. His death came after years of continuing to work even while undergoing treatment, a testament to his dedication to his craft. The reaction was immediate and emotional. Broadway theaters dimmed their lights in his honor. Cast members from Law and Order spoke openly about losing not just a colleague, but a guiding presence. Fans flooded memorials with messages, remembering how his performances felt real, grounded, and human. Today, Jerry Orbach is remembered as one of the rare performers who mastered every medium: stage, film, television, and even animation. His work continues in reruns, recordings, and songs that still echo with life. He made characters feel lived in, like people you might actually know. Some actors play roles. Jerry Orbach lived inside them, and through that, he never truly left us. He played a troubled soul with haunting honesty, and behind the screen, his own life echoed the same quiet struggles and brilliance. Keel Martin was born on January 26, 1944, in Miami, Florida. Raised in a creative environment, he developed an early love for music, teaching himself guitar before most teenagers found their voice. His rise to fame came in the early 1980s when television was changing. Martin became widely known as Detective J.D. LaRue on Hill Street Blues, a groundbreaking series that redefined realism on TV. His portrayal of a talented but deeply flawed police officer felt raw and painfully real. Audiences connected instantly. The show became a cultural landmark, earning critical acclaim and multiple awards, with Martin's performance standing out for its vulnerability. Beyond television, he pursued music seriously, releasing the album Doesn't Really Matter, which revealed a reflective songwriter with emotional depth and honesty. Away from the spotlight, Keel Martin lived a quieter, more complicated life. He struggled with alcoholism for many years, a battle he never tried to glamorize. Friends later said he was introspective, gentle, and deeply artistic, often more comfortable with a guitar than a camera. Music was his refuge, even when fame became overwhelming. Keel Martin died on December 28, 1990. He was only 46 years old. He passed away in Los Angeles, California, due to complications from pancreatitis, a condition linked to long-term alcohol abuse. His death came far too early, cutting short a career that still held promise and creative fire. The reaction was somber and reflective. Fans of Hill Street Blues mourned the loss of an actor who made pain feel authentic. Co-stars and critics remembered him as someone who brought emotional truth to every scene. His passing quietly underscored the personal cost often hidden behind celebrated performances. Today, Keel Martin is remembered as a symbol of television's shift toward realism. His work continues to resonate with viewers who value honesty over polish. Though his career was brief, his impact remains strong, reminding us that even flawed characters can leave a lasting mark. Some stars burn brightly for decades. Others, like Keel Martin, leave a softer glow that lingers long after the screen fades to black.